In the shadows where the silence speaks, I walk the line where the lost souls seek. With whispers of hope and a guiding light, I'll search the dark, bring the truth to light. I'm a seeker of the unseen, bridging worlds where the heart has been. With every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find the way, I'll draw you near. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. I'm a seeker of the unseen, bridging worlds where the heart has been. With every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find the way, I'll draw you near. Hope is fading, I won't let go. I'll be your compass, your guiding glow. Together we'll break through the darkest night. For every lost soul, I'll bring back the light. I'm a seeker of the unseen, bridging worlds where the heart has been. With every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find a way, I'll draw you near. I'm a seeker of the unseen, I'm bridging worlds where the heart has been. Where the heart, with every heartbeat, every tear, I'll find the way, I'll draw you near. Draw you near. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. Through the echoes of the past I tread, unlocking stories of the words unsaid. With every vision I'll stand my ground. In the name of love, the lost will be found. My hope is fading, I won't let go. I'll be your compass, your guiding glow. Together we'll break through the darkest night. For every lost soul, I'll bring back the light. When hope is fading, I won't let go. I'll be your compass, your guiding glow. Together we'll break through the darkest night. For every lost soul, I'll bring back the light.
Going in order, Sandra Ladd, June 14, 2020. Found stabbed in her home in Washkull, Washington. The scene was quiet, no forced entry, no robbery, and her wounds mirror Kohberger's known style, targeted, personal, and deliberate. This may have been the true beginning of the Karmic trail, an early kill hidden in plain sight. Number 2, Travis Jutton. August 13th, 2021. Attacked in his sleep at home, his wife, Jamie Lynn, survived. She later said someone stood over them wordlessly. The energy was surgical, silent, and felt like a spiritual blueprint for Idaho. What's more chilling, the name Travis, which surfaced in my channeling at some point, appears not symbolically, but literally. The astrology of that date also mirrors Idaho Mars aggression, Pluto shadow, and 13 energy, a symbol of death and rebirth. Then we have the Pullman attempt, October 10th, 2021. In this case, just before Idaho, a female victim fought off her attacker and survived. The wounds were physical, but the energetic scars were deep. This case feels like the dry run, a moment of karmic warning. The astrology of that night shows Mars square Uranus, a classic marker of impulsive violence, gone wrong, paired with the dark moon, symbolizing hidden intent and a failed. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm doing something a little different, and I hope that you like it. So all the ways to support me are down below in the description box. If you would like to schedule, I'm scheduling on Wednesdays. That is also down in the description box. Remember, I'm an ambassador for Otter Spirit. If you love that I wear these and you think that they're really cool, you can find the information down below. There's also a code you can use for a discount. Also, my friend's store is down there as well. I'm going to be taking out some stuff. I keep meaning to do that to show you, but you can just go ahead and click the link. She's also offering a code as well. We're working together. Also, there's merchandise. This is just one of the merchandise shirts that I have. So if you're interested, take a look. It's all going to be tagged below. All those things help the channel if you're interested. If not, that's okay. Remember that this is sacred work. It takes time, energy, and spirit. And if you're called to support the mission, it's appreciated. And tips are appreciated as well, which is why the QR code is up there for a moment. And I'm going to shift gears in just a minute, and I'm going to get into this. So there is a lot here, and I'm going to read it. And towards the end, I'll put clips. So this is going to be about the Karmic mirror, Ted Bundy and Bryan Kohberger. And I want to just explain why I channeled him and all of that. So I'm going to get going. Keep in mind that this is all alleged and for entertainment purposes only, and viewer discretion is advised, although I don't really talk about that much here. But everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So we do want to say that because he is innocent until proven guilty. Okay? So here we go. I will try to read as slow as I can, but as you guys know, I talk fast. I try to fix it, but it doesn't always happen. So I will try to do the best that I can. Okay. So how Ted Bundy's archetype reemerged in Bryan Kohberger. Some patterns don't die. They just shift. From the moment I tuned into Bryan Kohberger's energy, I saw Ted Bundy, not just in method, but in essence. The control, the coldness, the calculated mask of normalcy. This isn't just about copying a killer. It's about repeating a karmic cycle. A dark archetype born in a new name, in a new body, but playing the same twisted game. In this video, I'm breaking down why I call Kohberger the Karmic mirror, and why this case and others that match this same archetype are far more connected than most people realize. Before we begin, I want to be clear about why I'm making this video. This isn't about glorifying killers. It's not about sensationalism, fear, or feeding public obsession. This is about education and truth. As someone who works at the intersection of forensic astrology, psychic channeling, and karmic recognition, as well as walking the shadow, I've come to understand that certain patterns don't just repeat, they mirror across time. And when spirit calls attention to those mirrors, when a name like Ted Bundy comes up while working on Bryan Kohberger, it's not for shock value. It's because there's something deeper we need to see. This video is meant to teach, to illuminate the archetype, the psychological pattern, and the spiritual blueprints that connect these cases. It's for those who want to understand the unseen dynamics behind these crimes, not just who did it, but why that pattern emerged again. And yes, it's bold to speak this way, but silence doesn't protect us. Awareness does. So if you're here to learn, to expand your perception, or to understand how karmic echoes manifest in real-world cases, then this is for you. Let's begin. When I first looked into Idaho 4 case, I saw the echo of something ancient, a darkness I had studied, tracked, and spiritually confronted. What emerged wasn't just a suspect, it was a karmic archetype, returning through a new vessel. This is how I recognized it and why I will never look away. I don't glorify killers. I don't work with spirit to be entertained. I work with spirit to reveal truth. In the Idaho 4 case, the truth came with a shadow. When I first began looking into the case, it wasn't Bryan Kohberger who appeared to me first. It was Ted Bundy. When Kohberger emerged, he wasn't just inspired by Bundy. He was unconsciously channeling him. Not the man, but the archetype. The energy that Bundy once wore like a second skin. Detached intelligence, shadowed control, calculated cruelty masked as method. These archetypes moved through time like spiritual viruses, dormant until someone, knowingly or not, becomes a vessel. Kohberger didn't have to know Bundy to walk in his steps. He only had to be attuned to the vibration of the mirror. And once the pattern was reactivated, it was like watching a script written decades ago play out again, with new names, new victims, and the same cold performance. But this time, someone saw it. I saw it. Because that's what karmic mirrors are for. Not to reflect admiration, but to illuminate danger. To warn, to interrupt, to break the cycle before the archetype completes its ritual. Kohberger wasn't just killing. He was trying to recreate a ritual. To duplicate something that already lived in the collective shadow. He wanted to be remembered the way Bundy was. The problem is, Bundy didn't leave behind fame. He left behind a blueprint of darkness, and Kohberger tried to follow it. Everything about Kohberger, the stalking, the knife, the academic obsession, the social awkwardness, masking, and entitlement, mirrors Bundy. But what's even more chilling is that he knew. He knew who Bundy was, and I believe he wanted to recreate Bundy's perfect kill, the Chi Omega sorority attack, which I've said since the beginning. That's why I saw the eternity scene first, because its original fantasy wasn't just a kill, it was to channel an archetype. He wanted to be a legend in the way that evil wants to be worshipped. But this time, someone was watching. Spirit was watching. I was watching. I got the chills. The archetype came back, and I saw it for what it was, a karmic echo trying to rise again. But this time, it won't be worshipped. I can't keep getting the chills. It will be stopped. Ted Bundy came through not as a monster, but a karmic mirror. He recognized something in Bryan Kohberger because Kohberger was echoing his own pattern, not just in action, but an energetic blueprint. He didn't come through to be praised. He came through to warn, to reveal, to help me identify the signs of the same darkness he once embodied. Bundy is what I call a shadow guide. Spirit sometimes uses the fallen to help track the living, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because they understand the darkness others are too afraid to face. I'm a claircognizant karmic codebreaker. My job isn't to make people comfortable. It's to reveal what others refuse to see. Ted Bundy is not a fascination. He's a warning system. He helps me recognize a very specific type of killer: high intelligence, cold affect, obsessive voyeurism, spiritual hollowness, hidden behind academic mask. I have seen it again and again. Bryan Kohberger mirrored that archetype. He followed them, he studied them, he planned, stalked, and executed in a way that was eerily similar to what Bundy once did. And Spirit didn't show me Bundy for drama. Spirit showed me the code. In my channeling sessions and through astrological comparison charts, I've received indication that Bryan Kohberger may have been involved in additional incidents prior to the Idaho 4 case. While I cannot confirm this with physical evidence, the patterns mirrored in certain unsolved cases suggest a karmic buildup, possibly leading to what I view as the final unmasking in Idaho 4. I share these impressions as part of my spiritual and forensic process, not as an accusation, but as an energetic investigation. What I found especially chilling and karmically significant is how Bryan Kohberger's path seemed to echo Bundy's in eerie ways. Both showed signs of testing the waters in earlier crimes, refining their methods, watching from the shadows, and escalating until they believed they had perfected their approach. In that sense, Idaho was not just an attack, it was his masterpiece. The moment he thought he had figured it out, but karmically, it was also his downfall. Just like Bundy, he slipped. Spiritually speaking, it was the moment the mirror shattered, exposing the predator behind the persona. In my view, Idaho 4 wasn't his first attempt. It was the moment karma demanded accountability. Ted Bundy came through and referenced the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. At first, I thought maybe it was just a visual comparison, since Bryan Kohberger has often been described as having an eerie intensity of Ramirez with the academic coolness of Bundy. But now, after connecting Kohberger to other potential cases and seeing how these patterns echo, I believe Ted was pointing to something deeper. Kohberger isn't just a lookalike. I got the chills again. He's a hybrid archetype. He mirrors Bundy's control, planning, and need for dominance, but he also mirrors Ramirez's method of invading sacred, intimate spaces in the night, striking when his victims are most vulnerable. Both Bundy and Ramirez are archetypes of escalation. They didn't stop at one. They had trails of victims tied to their shadow impulses. Spirit knows this. Ted invoking the Night Stalker, feeling like a karmic breadcrumb, a warning that Kohberger may have left more victims behind, and that his soul imprint, borrows from multiple archetypes. He is a controlled stalker, part charismatic manipulator, part nocturnal predator. Ted was essentially saying, look closer, he's not just me, he's worse. This layered archetype, the hybrid predator, is important to document because it shows us how killers evolve spiritually and behaviorally across lifetimes and crime patterns. Kohberger doesn't just mirror one killer, he's a fusion of darkness, and Ted's reference to Ramirez was the clue to that fusion. Right before Ted mentioned the Night Stalker in my channeling, he talked about Bryan's obsession with entering sacred space, about how he wanted to strip away your sense of safety, invade your personal world, and take control. That was important, because for a killer like Kohberger, allegedly, it's not just about the act, it's about the power shift. He wants to be the one in charge of your final moment, especially in a place where you thought you were safe. That chills. That's when Ted dropped the reference, the Night Stalker. To me, that was just confirmation. Kohberger is a fusion of dark archetypes. Ted Bundy's planning and charm fused with Richard Ramirez's night invasions and spiritual discretion. He's not just killing, he's desecrating, entering homes, bedrooms, intimate zones of rest. These are sacred spaces. And just like Ramirez, he wanted that power over the place and the person. So when people say Kohberger looks like Bundy or reminds us of the Night Stalker, I think it's deeper than that. He doesn't just look like them, he's carrying forward their karmic signatures. Almost as if Spirit is using those past shadows to warn us what's evolving in the present. This is why I now call him the hybrid predator, because this darkness is blended. And Ted calling that out was a way of saying, this isn't just a copy of me, this is someone built from multiple shadows. In this channeling, Ted said something that struck me. I wouldn't have gotten caught if I hadn't overindulged. That wasn't just Ted reflecting on himself. That was a karmic warning about Bryan Kohberger. Overindulgence is the fatal flaw of many predators like Ted and Bryan. For Ted, it was the compulsion, the thrill, the belief that he could outsmart everyone. He got sloppy because his ego grew too big. He needed more risk, more control, more chaos. And that's exactly what tripped Kohberger too. Bryan could have stayed hidden, but he overindulged. He inserted himself into investigation. He drove back to the scene. He taunted fate because deep down, he didn't just want control. He wanted credit. He wanted to be seen as smarter than everyone in the room. Ted is saying, that's where I fell, and that's where he will too. It's a mirror, a pattern. The overindulgence of a killer's ego will always betray him. Spirit showed me that Ted isn't just watching, he's mapping out the downfall. He's helping us recognize the cracks before they widen. Ted was showing me the mirror. I fell because I wanted more. So will he. This is the evolution of darkness. These men believe they're untouchable until their overindulgence and their own power exposes them. Ted wasn't boasting. He was warning us. Spirit was showing the same pattern repeating in a new body. As Ted continued to speak, he referenced something I've seen over and over again in these cases, the 3 a.m. witching hour. That timing isn't random. It's a spiritual pattern, a ritual window. Between 2:45 and 3:30 a.m. is when the veil is the thinnest. It's when spirit is closest and when psychic defenses are often down. It's also a time when predators who walk chills in the shadow feel most powerful. They're not just choosing a quiet hour, they're choosing a domination zone, a sacred threshold. Ramirez used it, Bundy crept in through night and silence, and Kohberger, same thing. The Idaho 4 attacks aligned with that early morning ritual space. The sacred turned upside down. Ted was warning me, watch the timing. These men follow a karmic echo. They strike when spirit is most open because they are attempting to hijack spiritual authority in the moment. That's why I call this ritual murder in the shadow hour, and it's a hallmark of the hybrid predator. One of the most chilling moments in the channeling was when Ted said he took a play out of my playbook, didn't he? It wasn't boastful, it was observant, almost like he was calling out a student who had learned the wrong lesson. Bryan Kohberger mirrored Ted Bundy in more ways than one. The academic background, the stalking, the false mask of normalcy, the carefully planned ambush, the blue eyes, the brown hair. But what Ted was really pointing out was Kohberger isn't original. He's following a karmic template, an energetic path already walked and already destroyed. The one line told me everything. Ted sees it. He knows the echo. He knows where it leads, and he knows the only outcome is collapse by ego, the same way he fell. Kohberger didn't just commit a crime. He took a shadow blueprint and tried to run it better. But the downfall is already built in, and Ted's watching it play out in real time. Okay. Going in order, Sandra Ladd, June 14, 2020. Found stabbed in her home in Washkull, Washington. The scene was quiet, no forced entry, no robbery, and her wounds mirror Kohberger's known style, targeted, personal, and deliberate. This may have been the true beginning of the karmic trail, an early kill hidden in plain sight. Number 2, Travis Jutton. August 13th, 2021. Attacked in his sleep at home. His wife, Jamie Lynn, survived. She later said someone stood over them wordlessly. The energy was surgical, silent, and felt like a spiritual blueprint for Idaho. What's more chilling, the name Travis, which surfaced in my channeling at some point, appears not symbolically, but literally. The astrology of that date also mirrors Idaho Mars aggression, Pluto shadow, and 13 energy, a symbol of death and rebirth. Then we have the Pullman attempt, October 10th, 2021. In this case, just before Idaho, a female victim, fought off her attacker and survived. The wounds were physical, but the energetic scars were deep. This case feels like the dry run, a moment of karmic warning. The astrology of that night shows Mars square Uranus, a classic marker of impulsive violence, gone wrong, paired with the dark moon, symbolizing hidden intent. And then there's Idaho 4, November 13th, 2022, the culmination, the perfect crime. He tried to orchestrate, but it wasn't perfect. It cracked the mirror. Spirit exposed him. The date again falls on the 13th, echoing Jutton's attack. All signs, astrological, psychic, numerology converge here. This was Karma's blade turning back. One thing I noticed that's too hard to ignore is the pattern in the dates. 2 of the attacks, Travis Jutton and the Idaho 4, happened on the 13th, which carries strong karmic energy around transformation and endings. It makes me wonder if that date was intentional, but in other cases, the timing feels just slightly off, like maybe something in the real world disrupted his plan. Someone was awake, something changed, or he lost the opportunity. That kind of shift is important because when people try to repeat, or ritualize crimes, they often have an internal clock or signature they follow. But life doesn't always let that happen exactly as they want. So even if the dates don't match perfectly, the energy around them does. Each case occurred in the second half of the year, late spring through fall, when the veil thins and karmic pressure builds. 14, Sandra, 7+7, division of self-duality. 13, Travis and Idaho, transformation, death, rebirth, spiritual upheaval. And 1010, Pullman, spiritual doorway, choice point. The annual buildup, each year around the same time, months, a new phase unfolded, almost ritualistically. From a spiritual perspective, Bryan Kohberger was trying to perfect what Bundy once tried, to master control, evade justice, and execute the perfect crime. But what Bundy failed to complete, Kohberger tried to replicate. The Idaho murders were not just an act of brutality, they were karmic. But karma doesn't just let you build, it demands reckoning. The woman who survived before Idaho was the final warning. And Idaho, though horrific, was a moment the mirror cracked. He left a footprint in shadow, and Spirit made sure it would be seen. During the channeling, Ted made a cutting observation. He said Bryan Kohberger looks like a normal guy, someone you'd pass by in a store, in a hallway, even in a classroom, and never think twice. You're not walking around looking for a killer, he said. Ted didn't just compare Bryan Kohberger to me. He pointed toward Richard Allen, the man accused in the Delphi murders, and that caught me off guard because what did they have in common? They both looked normal. Kohberger was a PhD student. Allen worked at a pharmacy. They smiled at people, they blended in, and then one day they acted on urges they'd been hiding for years. People still say both of them are innocent. They still say they were railroaded, or they just don't seem like killers. But that's the danger. These aren't men who live in chaos. They're men who hide it. Ted was showing me something, that there's a class of predator who doesn't kill impulsively every day. They don't walk around raging or covered in warning signs. They live quietly. They wear the face of harmless until one day the urges win and someone dies. And even after that, people still defend them because they don't fit the movie version of the monster. Ted called it. He took a play out of my playbook. He wears the mask, he plans, he hides in plain sight. And that's why these cases echo each other. They're not just legal puzzles. They're spiritual blueprints, repeating through time, begging us to look deeper. They never see it coming because I taught them how to hide. TB. Ted. And that struck me, because that's exactly what people said about Ted. They couldn't believe that he was a clean-cut, polite, educated, and when he was caught, people, especially women, defended him. They couldn't reconcile the image with the reality. And now, we're seeing the same exact script play out with Bryan Kohberger. People saying he's innocent. He's quiet, respectful. There's no way someone like him could have done that. But that's the point. That's the illusion. That's the mask. Ted was warning us, not just about Bryan, but about how easy it is to be fooled by appearances. These men thrive in the shadows because they learn how to perform light. They wear normal like a costume. That's why it's so dangerous. This isn't just a case about murder, it's a case about how predators use trust, charm, and social normacy as tools of destruction. Ted knew it, Bryan knows it, and Spirit is saying, look beneath the surface again and again. In the channeling, Ted pointed out something raw. He said he got so brazen, he didn't even care anymore. He was attacking women in broad daylight, pulling them into his car in open spaces. And the reason? Arrogance. He believed no one could stop him. He believed he was untouchable. And that's exactly what always precedes the fall. That's what he's warning us about with Bryan Kohberger too. These men start out careful, meticulous, strategic, but when they're not caught right away, they start to feel invincible. The darkness gets louder, the urge gets bolder, the mask starts to slip because the ego tells them they don't need it anymore. Ted was saying, I stopped hiding, I wanted more, and I thought I was above the world. And in that moment, he sold his own end. Kohberger shows signs of the same escalation. He didn't just kill, he returned to the scene, drove by again, watched the aftermath, almost daring the universe to catch him. The brazen phase is always the last phase, and Ted knows that all too well. That's how arrogant I was. I didn't even care who saw me. Ted. One of the most chilling things Ted said during the channeling was people pass killers every day and don't even know it. And he wasn't being dramatic, he was being honest. These aren't men hiding in basements or howling at the moon. These are men behind you in the line, in the neighbor who waves, the classmate, the cashier, the quiet one who seems harmless. Bryan Kohberger walked among his classmates while planning a murder. Richard Allen developed people's photos. Ted Bundy smiled as his victims moments before he struck. Chills. And the world said the same thing every time. He didn't look like a killer. That's what Ted wanted us to remember, that evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a smile. Sometimes it holds a degree. Sometimes it brings you your receipt. We pass killers, chills, every day because we've been conditioned not to see them until it's too late. Ted also used the full name Theodore, and now I've learned why. It means it's a formality plus authority. By using Theodore instead of Ted or Bundy, he's not showing up in persona. He's showing up in full self-awareness, shedding the public myth. This isn't the charming facade. This is the soul speaking. Ted Bundy is the archetype. Theodore is the man owning the karma, the damage, and the legacy. It's his way of saying, I'm not hiding behind the character anymore. When Theodore speaks, it's not to charm, it's to warn. Theodore is rarely used in casual speech. Him using it means, pay attention, I'm not playing a role, I'm testifying. These things come through long before they hit headlines, and I know there were people who still won't understand it. That's fine. I'm not here for clicks, I'm here for clarity. Something I didn't realize until later, right after I spoke about Richard Allen in the Delphi case, my cat Libby, who I just got after his arrest, Delphi's arrest, climbed onto my shoulder. And that might sound small to some people, but in my world, that's spirit. Libby isn't just a pet. She came into my life right before Delphi energy hit full force. And in that moment, when I mentioned Rick Allen and the eerie parallels, she showed up psychically and energetically to confirm the truth in what was being said. Spirit uses animals all the time. They sense things before we do. And when they step forward during a channeling, it's their way of saying, you're right, keep going. People ask why I would work with a killer, but Spirit doesn't care about your comfort zone. Spirit cares about truth. Ted Bundy once tried to help catch the Green River Killer before his own execution. Not out of virtue, out of knowledge. He knew that what to look for, and he still does. When it comes
Investigators used Bundy's inside knowledge of serial killing and his familiarity with Washington state to help them form a profile of Ridgway. Psychologists and criminologists, hoping to gain insight into the motives behind the killer's movements. Eventually, in 1984, their interviews led them to the infamous Ted Bundy. According to Keppel, Bundy actually volunteered himself to take part in the investigation. on the psychology of the still-active Seattle serial killer, as well as his motivations and behavior. It suggested that the uncaught Seattle serial killer was most likely revisiting his dump sites. He advised the investigators that if they found a fresh grave, they should stake it out and wait for the killer to return. Bundy's theories turned out to be absolutely correct, and the police were able to use them to collect samples and provide evidence for an arrest warrant.
When he came through to help me identify Kohberger, I understood the pattern. And when I saw the same type of darkness in Emily Pike's killer, I knew this was bigger than one case. These killers are archetypes. They wear different Ted Bundy karmic mirrors. These killers wear different faces and names, but their energetic signature, the karmic imprint, is eerily similar. Bundy was the first key that unlocked this understanding, not because I admire him, but because spirit uses the shadow not to glorify it, but to stop it. He was my warning, my karmic mirror. He walked the edge of horror so I could learn to recognize it early before it strikes again. People will try to use that against me. They already have. They don't understand the sacred work of calling in the shadow to expose the lie. I don't use him to sensationalize. I use him to decode the darkness when no one else is listening. Even in children's cases where it feels unthinkable, I call forward his energy to reveal the truth through contrast, especially when lies are loud and justice is quiet. That is why he came, or maybe that is why my higher self asked him to. When I saw the energetic pattern in Emily Pike's killer, I knew it matched the one I saw in Bundy. The smooth manipulation, the charming front, the cruelty beneath. It wasn't just coincidence, it was a spiritual pattern repeating. This is about more than just one man. This is about a karmic code woven through killers who blend, pretend, and then destroy. Bundy is a shadow guide, one who helps me track these types because he knows how they hide. He's not here to be forgiven or idolized. He's here because I made a soul contract to identify this type of archetype and their pattern and soul signatures. I see it not to stop destiny, but to interrupt the karmic momentum, to reveal the hidden archetype before it completes its damage. And in doing so, I create a new outcome, a breach in the darkness. I don't glorify the shadow, I name it. I track it. I refuse to let it pass unseen. That's why Spirit sends me mirrors like Bundy, not to dwell on horror, but to decode it before it manifests again. I don't stop fate. I recognize what must be seen in time, not to glorify, but to interrupt. Because some archetypes return only until someone calls them out by name, and it severs the cycle. The archetype survives because it adapts, not because it is strong. It blends, it performs, it waits in plain sight. It doesn't always come cloaked in horror. Sometimes it's helpful, charming, and even beloved. That's what makes it dangerous. And that's why mirrors like Bundy must be named, not to glorify the monster, but to unmask the disguise. Because once an archetype is recognized and channeled by its true name, it starts to lose power. Not everyone will want to see it. Not everyone will believe me, but I'm not here to be believed. I'm here to recognize, to warn, to break the spell. I'm meant to carry this for the world. I'm meant to hold the lens that shows what the world cannot see yet. Truth doesn't need permission. It only needs to be spoken. What's wild is as I was rewatching this and working on this video, now the timestamp hit at 1:11. But during the original recording, it was exactly 11:11 when that moment dropped. That's not a coincidence. Spirit marks the time, and this message is sacred. 11:11 is the mirror, the alignment, the opening of truth. 1:11 is the spark of clarity, the moment of activation. Those numbers don't show up for no reason. They were Spirit's way of saying, pay attention, this part matters. The words Ted spoke weren't just part of the message. They were part of the timing, and I was in sync with it. And then, now, this is how I know I'm still in alignment with the work, and that Spirit is still guiding this story. In the last video I did of the outcome, there's something I want to mention. When I channeled Bryan Kohberger's future in court, I kept seeing this flash, Ted then Bryan, over and over. It wasn't random. Spirit was showing me the karmic echo. Ted knew what he was doing in court. He grew facial hair. He made speeches. He smirked. He played the system like a chessboard. And now Bryan, he's starting to do the same. The facial hair, the defiance, the need to be seen, it's all unfolding again. Spirit wasn't just comparing behavior. They were showing me the outcome. Ted was saying he's following the same path and he'll meet the same end. 2 trials, 1 shadow. History isn't repeating, it's mirroring. Ted said, "He's not as good as me, not as charming, not as good looking, but I'll hand it to him, he tried." That's Ted for you, even in spirit. He'll roast the karmic imitator. But behind that smirk, he's watching the downfall play out, and he knows exactly where this ends. Ted told me May was significant. I didn't realize how right he was until now. It was May that Kohberger's obsession with Bundy began to surface publicly. It was May that I returned to this work with new clarity. It was May that I saw the karmic mirror for what it truly was, not just a reflection, but a repetition. Ted spoke it, Spirit confirmed it, and I stepped forward to reveal it. This is the month the shadows walk. This is the month the truth breaks through, and this is the month that everything hidden is seen and will be revealed. Ted knew, Spirit knew, and now I know too. Bundy named it, Kohberger echoed it, and I stepped forward to teach it. Bryan Kohberger just pulled a last-minute move, by the way, pointing the finger at an alternate suspect just weeks before trial. A sealed court filing, a dramatic claim, but let's be honest. Everything about the timing screams strategy, not truth. It's a classic distraction play, an attempt to shift the narrative, delay proceedings, and plant seeds of doubt. From the beginning, as I've said, this case isn't just about one person, it's about ego, control, and power. And what we're seeing now, it's not a revelation, it's a redirection. Whether this new suspect even exists or whether they're just dragged in this legal bait doesn't change what's coming. Truth isn't shaken by tricks. And those of us who tuned into deeper patterns, we've seen this move coming. Something else I want to address. I keep hearing there's no way he did this alone. But let's be real. History is full of predators who operated solo and still left behind chaos. Ted Bundy, Rodney Alcala, Israel Keys, Richard Ramirez, they all walked that fine line between charm and violence, planning meticulously, stalking silently, and striking fast, with multiple victims. Kohberger fits that mold. He didn't need a team. He needed obsession, opportunity, and control. The chart matches, the pattern matches, and the energy matches. It's uncomfortable to believe that someone can be that cold and calculated all by themselves, but that's exactly why they get away with it until now. And just a symbol, before I go, about how my familiars help me do this work. Many don't understand them being a part of my sacred team, but cats walk the astral. They ground me, protect me, and let me know when I'm on the right path. Libby, just being a kitten during the time of the Idaho 4 Ted Bundy channeling, knew, small, innocent, while I was channeling about the destruction of innocent, mass predators, and courtroom justice, that symbolic protection in its purest form. She came into my life not just as a companion, but as a living namesake of a lost girl whose voice was silenced. A soul tether connecting me to the Delphi case even before it fully opened. A guardian spirit in training, showing up even then, small but present. Spirit doesn't just confirm, it orchestrates timelines. They sent Libby during the unfolding of the karmic cycle so that she could be with me when it came full circle. I'm adding in some clips from Ted's reading on Idaho 4 just so that you understand a little bit more and why I talked about what I talked about. But he says he's more shy. He says outcast.
Okay.
He says outcast. He says hidden desires. He says he's an outcast, but you wouldn't know he's an outcast. It's more like he feels like he's an outcast. Okay. Like psychologically or something, like he's insecure, I guess. Last night, like stalker, lurker. He says fantasies though, like he says he's like me. He's like me in that way. I used to fantasize about it. I couldn't stop myself. It's one of those things. He said if given the chance, he will kill again. He talks about bloodlust, the bloodlust being there.
Okay.
He says he's a little different than him, though. And that he's so sloppy. Like, expect him. He's not something that he's not someone that you would suspect. And so I'm asking him because is he older? I get a headache with him for some reason. He shakes his head yes with that.
Okay.
So I'm like, am I looking for a young kid? He says no.
Okay.
He shows me the guy sitting in front of a computer. Like that's what he, and that could be for, certain things that he's watching to.
Yeah.
He says bondage, like those websites, like pornography websites where they have like the sadistic kind of stuff. Like I feel like he's kind of into that. But again, he tells me the word impotent. So
Oh.
he's
Huh.
he's basically just validating like that this guy likes that kind of stuff, but he can't perform doing it. But I also get he is saying that this was, I get revenge, I get from rejection, I get
Yeah.
for them just being biatches and WHORES. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Like the same. He says they're very similar, and that's why he keeps coming in, is that they're very similar. He tells me like he basically tried to copy, but put his own spin on it. That's what Ted's saying. So that's when he says like he took a piece out of my playbook.
Okay.
Like he slipped in and out of the house the same way. He watched them the same way. He followed him home from the bar the same way. Like that's what he's showing me. That is all similar. He says there's something about like specifically those four that like this guy just didn't. He just feels older to me, and I really don't know. Like sometimes he feels older, sometimes he feels younger. I don't really know. It's almost like he's saying that he held on to it for a while and something like snapped. Like he shows me the brain psychologically. He shows me like that. I don't know why I'm getting this, but it's like the brain, and then how like you would see like electricity like in the brain like as it's working like symbolically, and he's showing me like it misfiring or something. So it's symbolic for something happening in the brain. But he's talking about trauma or traumatic something that kind of shifted.
Okay.
But also like he says he has these desires that he can't fulfill, but he does not take rejection. Like he can't take rejection.
Yeah.
That he's been in that, like that came in the reading last night about him being in the house. He's been in the house before for some reason, whether it be how old was Ted when he got caught?
I don't know. I
Can you Google that? Because he says around the age I got caught. He just flashed me a picture of him with a beard and mustache, like when he grew it out for some reason, because I think that might be how he always like looks. He's talking about they're very similar. Like he's talking about he could be his brother. Like that's how similar they look. But like we were saying, like a Wish,
Yeah.
like a Wish version. But there's just like similarities.
Okay.
I'm not saying they look exactly like, but there's similarities that he's talking about. Just put devil horns on the guy. I don't know if he's trying to say that he's possessed kind of thing, or if he's just, an evil guy like that. But he said you would never know it.
Right.
Like he says he acts normal like I did. But he might make some weird remarks sometimes. That are like kind of like red flags, but people kind of brush it off because he seems like a normal guy.
Okay.
He says good at fooling people.
Okay.
And I hear the words studied me. So I don't know if he actually had a thing, like maybe he thinks he kind of looked like him. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like he's saying like he kind of looks like him or favors him, so he wanted to learn about him.
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I don't even know if that makes sense. It's really weird. But
Yeah.
he's kind of talking like he studied him to kind of be like him.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, he's saying something like a mentor beyond the grave. Leave it to Ted to say something like that.
Wow, yeah.
So, it's almost like he has some sort of charisma, but it's not. He says he'll never be like me. He's not good like me.
Right, yeah.
I still get the blue eyes. Like he's even showing me the blue eyes now. But he says like they're kind of like dark. Like it's weird because I don't know, maybe they change. Because Ted's kind of looks like his look like a steel blue or like really deep blue. But I was thinking maybe they could be a little bit lighter, but they might be like that. Trying to fit in with the college kids or something, but he's got a thing for, like I said, I don't know. I see him being like obsessive. Man, I hope. But he shows me like he specifically wears like work boots or something like that. And I was trying to think because I was getting the idea of like military stuff. Like this doesn't really feel like, I was getting military stuff last night. Like it doesn't really feel like something a military guy would do. I don't know if that's someone that maybe wanted to join the military and didn't. Anyways, back to the military feel. I don't know if he was actually in or he just wanted to be, or you know what I mean? Like it comes across like he might have wanted to be. I don't know if he actually was. Like that's something I can't really pin down. If he actually was or he just wanted to be, or there's something in his background with that. But see, there goes the freaking security badge again, or badge. Maybe he wanted to be a cop at one time or something. I don't understand what that's about either, because he's giving it to me too. Like he wanted to be authority or something like that. Because he says the word narcissist, like he's a narcissist, but he says like me. Or at least his closet is like, he might have a little bit of OCD, which is weird because this is very crazy crime. Wasn't neat at all. I don't know why he's showing me his closet. It's kind of weird. But it's like all the clothes are lined up and all the shoes are kind of lined up. I don't know why he's showing me that. I thought about that guy doing it, and then one day he just did it.
Okay.
But he, he's it's 11:11 right now. But I didn't expect him to compare that right now, but he is comparing it in like the type of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not somebody that you're gonna expect. It's not somebody that acts really weird and stuff. That's kind of weird because I wasn't expecting to get like that kind of thing, but it's weird because it's kind of coming in like he's showing me him walking around in the house. Okay, this guy drives around and looks in people's windows.
Yeah, that's creepy.
I mean, Ted did the same thing. He would go around and look in windows and do things while he was looking in windows. Also, he doesn't do good on alcohol. Like if he drinks, he's not a very nice person. He gets upset. And I feel like he has this rage inside of him, is what Ted's saying. He has this rage inside of him that he can't really control. Sometimes he says it just unleashes. But there's something about this. It's like he's saying this built up. He's talking about it building up. And there being some kind of trauma. I'm curious. Like every time I would try to see this guy, I would see kind of curly hair. So, or like wavy hair or whatever. I know people are saying it's not planned, but the way that it comes across was that it was.
Okay.
It was to a certain point. Okay. He's like, and then he's like, you get it in your head where these women are B's and C's and W's, and you act on those feelings. Yeah. He keeps showing me like questioning that. He's like, look at the brutality of mine. and I didn't know my victims.
Yeah.
Like they just ticked me off.
Right.
They felt they, acted like they were too good for me, and I didn't have control over them, which is what I wanted, was control.
Okay. Yeah.
And he says that yes, if to us it seems like a coward way to do it, but to him it was total control.
Okay.
Because he had control regardless of if they were asleep or not. He
Yeah.
was in control. Breaking into the house was in control. This was about control. This was about coming, he says this was about coming into your personal space and doing what you want.
Yeah.
Because he talks about your home is supposed to be sacred. Your home is supposed to be safe. This is coming in, and I'm getting chills with that. This is coming in and breaking that.
Yeah.
It's breaking the security and the safety that you think that you have in your home.
Yeah.
And he says that's why the Night Stalker did what he did. So now he's referencing the Night Stalker.
Okay.
3 o'clock comes in as a time where, it's everybody should be deep sleep by 3 o'clock. And I hear the witching hour. I don't know if it really is, but saying he took it out of my playbook. So I get this this overwhelming obsessive feeling.
Okay.
And again, I get reference that which I haven't been able to find, obsession, dark desires. And so, I mean, those people, they just get obsessed and they don't ever do SA or anything. They just do away with who they're obsessed with for whatever reason. I mean, who knows why they do what they do. Like Ted saying, like, he's not, the guy is not like, he says he's a true psychopath because he's like him, like he's really good at hiding, this kind of stuff, or even his desires to do it. He says he seems like a normal guy. So you're not walking around looking for a guy that acts like a killer. That's what he says.
Yeah.
This is someone that it's like, he says least expect. Like, like he says seemed normal, but I was brazen. He's talking about how brazen he was to do what he did, and to he said I didn't even care. I just put him in my car and just started attacking him in my car, like that's what he shows me. He didn't even care. Broad daylight, didn't even care. He was that arrogant that he wasn't going to get caught.
Yeah.
He didn't care about any of that. And, there wasn't DNA and stuff back then. But
Right.
I asked him if he's going to get caught. He says he's going to get caught. He says it's going to be really huge and everybody's going to be really surprised by this person. He says, as always, it's the last person you're going to expect. Something weird right now. He says, people pass killers every day and don't even know it. Again, he kind of looks a lot like him. Like the nose is very similar. The nose is very similar to his nose. The facial, like the face, the way that the shape of the face is very similar. And the jawline and the chin is very similar, but I don't know if he has like a little like dimple or something like on his chin. I don't know. Because that kind of comes in like the face shape and the nose are really similar. And then he keeps like the eyes,
Yep.
I don't know if he's just saying like they're kind of like his eyes. I mean, I keep getting blue eyes for some reason. But it's like darker or like a different color blue or something. I mean, they remind me of like when I look at his eyes, I like see Ted Bundy's eyes. It's so odd. Like this is the weirdest thing. This is the weirdest thing. Like I will be pleasantly surprised if he has no features of Ted Bundy at all.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like he's telling me like he looks a lot like him, and maybe that's why he is taking a parodies. That it's like it's so weird.
There's something with Scorpio though that keeps coming in. I don't know if that has anything to do with the planets or if he's a Scorpio and any of. He puts an orange jumpsuit on him, so that makes me feel like eventually, hopefully, he'll caught Lex. So I don't know. That would make sense if it's one and there's like something upstairs, like the stairs I was getting. Yeah. So I don't know, but or again in the house before for something.
Okay.
And I don't know because like I was getting like a party reference kind of thing. Theodore, because he says this guy's wicked. That's what he says. He's wicked. But he'll never be as good as me. That's what he says. You know, he's like he's not smooth like I am. He won't. It's weird. It's like he even shows me like a cross between like him and Night Stalker and like because it is. But it's like because I feel that's what this guy wants to do, like is break into houses for some freaking reason. Again, it's to take the power, or whatever, however he described it before. Be wrong and misunderstanding, but he tells me that this is not an isolated incident. Like this is not something that you do one time and stop. Like he keeps talking about having that bloodlust. Yes, the targets were taken out, but he says he'll just get new targets. Like that's the way that's what he's saying. Like you can't hold this monster inside this guy. Like that's what he's talking about. Like this is a monster raging to get out.
Yeah.
You know, and he likes the fact that it's not just one person. Like he feels like he comes across as a spree killer, serial killer mix. Like he likes more than one victim at a time because of the power of it. That's the way that Ted is. If Ted's being honest, that's what he's saying. And he loves the attention that's coming from this case and everybody, you know, and nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
It says the word true psychopath, but like it'll be so hard to figure out because he's not like there's no signs of it. Like he's really good at hiding who he is, just like Ted was. That's what he's talking about. He's like their personalities are very similar in that way. He said, but he's not as good as him. You know, he's not as charming as him. He's not as good as him. And not as good looking as him, he says. But he says, I'll hand it to him. Makes me feel like there's something that's tied to this guy that I know about. That wasn't as sloppy and wasn't as like it was just something that he did. It wasn't as like this was really rage filled.
Yeah.
And again, like Ted talks about, like it was, you know, built up over time. Kind of you know, I feel like Ted did, he stalked. This is kind of a same kind of feeling, like he would just but Ted would act on it right away, but this is more like a waiting for the right moment kind of thing. But it has multiple meanings because he's bringing up May again too. So I don't know if maybe something will happen in May. I mean, that's also Maddie's middle name, but
So whether you believe in past lives, soul contracts, or just patterns too precise to be coincidence, what we're witnessing isn't new. It's a karmic echo resurfacing through Bryan Kohberger, allegedly. A man walking in the shadow of Ted Bundy, whether knowingly or not. This isn't about glorifying darkness. It's about exposing it, recognizing it, naming the archetype so that it can't hide in plain sight again. Because every time this pattern reemerges, it comes with a choice. Do we look away or do we call it for what it is? This time we call it out. The mirror's been revealed. Now we watch what reflects back. And that's why I work the way that I do, because I walk the shadow. And this helps me identify things that maybe I wouldn't otherwise. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the channel. I appreciate your love and support. And as always, and that's why I work the way that I do, because I walk the shadow. And this helps me identify things that maybe I wouldn't otherwise. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the channel. I appreciate your love and support. And as always, please hit the like button on the way out and take care of yourselves.